the invisible battle within Jung, Nietzsche, and your fight for freedom. Imagine this. Deep inside your mind, two colossal figures are locked in a silent, invisible duel. You can't hear their voices, nor see their faces, but they are there, engaged in a fierce struggle, not against each other, but for one purpose: your liberation. One voice is calm and introspective, quietly reflecting the shadowed corners you have long ignored. It is Carl Jung, the patient guide to your unconscious, gently holding up a mirror to your hidden fears and desires. The other is wild, fierce, and relentless, a voice that challenges every comfort zone, urging you to shatter the illusions you've built around your identity. This is Friedrich Nietzsche, standing at the edge of your known world, daring you to become something new. Between them hangs a question that has haunted humanity for centuries. How do you break free when you don't even realize you are trapped? Picture yourself, standing at the brink of a vast chasm. Below you stretches an abyss of emptiness, a void that seems to swallow all meaning. Behind you lies the familiar worn path where everyone else walks, lined with rules, expectations, and the subtle chains that bind your soul. From across this divide, Nietzsche fixes his gaze and delivers a message that cuts like a blade, terrifying yet liberating. No one is coming to save you. Not God, not society, not your family, your partner, or even your therapist. The rescue team was never sent. The cavalry has been called off. His words do not seek to crush hope, but to awaken your dormant power. Because when you realize you are utterly alone, something extraordinary stirs within. In that raw solitude, you discover a strength you never knew you possessed. But Nietzsche warns, if you stare too long into the abyss, it stares back at you. Most people recoil, choosing the comforting delusion that salvation will come from outside themselves. But what if you didn't look away? What if you met the abyss with steady eyes? Contrary to destroying you, the abyss reveals your true self. Nietzsche calls this transformation becoming the Übermensch, the Superman. But forget comic book heroes with their lasers and flying capes. This Superman is far more radical, the creator of their own values, the author of their own meaning. Think about it. Every rule you've ever followed, every should and must shaping your life. Who wrote those? Parents, culture, religion, ancient philosophers, long dead. What if you could throw out those inherited scripts and write your own? I can already hear your doubts. Isn't that dangerous? What about morality? What about society? You're right to be cautious. Nietzsche isn't calling for chaos or cruelty. He calls for a revolution more terrifying to the status quo than anarchy, authentic individual power. The Übermensch doesn't destroy for destruction's sake. They create. They stare into meaninglessness and declare, if no meaning exists, then I will forge my own. But here lies the challenge, and where many falter. Creating your own meaning isn't about positive thinking or wishful dreams. It's about enduring, transforming suffering into strength. Nietzsche's famous maxim, "What does not kill me makes me stronger," doesn't mean lifting weights or physical endurance. It speaks to psychological resilience, the capacity to face rejection, failure, loss, and pain, without fracturing, without bitterness, without surrendering the hope of becoming great. This is the battle society wants you to lose. It craves your weakness, your dependence, your conformity, because herds are predictable, controllable, and profitable. Yet, every moment you choose to think for yourself, to live by your own values rather than those handed down to you, you reclaim a fragment of freedom. Freedom is terrifying because it demands total responsibility over your choices, your happiness, your suffering, your success, and your failures. There's no one else to blame, no higher power to beg, no system to rescue you, just you, standing at the edge, deciding whether to leap or fly. But wait, there's more to this story. Nietzsche's vision, powerful as it is, misses something crucial. Or maybe he saw it, but chose not to dwell on it. Carl Jung leans forward now, his voice steady and profound, asking the question that turns everything upside down. How can you be free if you don't even know who you are? Jung uncovered a harsh truth. Our battles aren't only with external chains, but with a hidden internal war, often invisible to ourselves. There's a part of your psyche, Jung calls the shadow, the hidden self you've spent a lifetime denying. Your anger, selfishness, desires, fears, weaknesses, and cruelties, all those traits you refuse to claim, are imprisoned in the dark. But here's the revelation. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is the reservoir of your true power. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who prided himself on being kind, gentle, patient, never raising his voice, never expressing frustration or anger. He was the perfect husband, employee, citizen, the embodiment of good, yet he was profoundly unhappy. Why? Because he had cut off half his emotional engine, burying his shadow so deep that its energy was lost to him. He was like a car trying to run on half its cylinders. One day, he came to Jung in despair. "I don't understand why I'm so depressed. I do everything right. I'm a good person." Jung smiled kindly. "That's exactly the problem. You're trying to be good instead of whole. Shadow work isn't about becoming a villain. It's about becoming complete. It's about integrating all parts of yourself, the dark and the light, the accepted and the denied. Suppressing the shadow doesn't make it vanish. It goes underground and takes control in unseen ways. You might find yourself drawn to people who express your shadow for you, or sabotage your own success because deep down, you don't feel worthy, or erupt in anger over small things, harboring years of unspoken rage. Jung called this projection, seeing in others what you refuse to own in yourself. That irritating coworker, they may embody a shadow trait you deny. That person who triggers you, they mirror a disowned fragment of your soul. Here's where it gets truly fascinating. Much of neurosis, our inner mental and emotional suffering, stems from the split within. Your conscious mind wants one thing, your shadow wants another. You're stuck in the middle, paralyzed. The solution is not choosing one side over the other, but integrating both to become whole. Jung named this lifelong process individuation. It's not about perfection, it's about authenticity. When you integrate your shadow, something magical happens. You stop fearing judgment because you've faced your worst truths. You shed guilt and shame because you've embraced your flaws. You cease chasing others' approval and start living your truth. Now here's where the plot thickens. Nietzsche and Jung tackle the same prison of the self from different angles. Nietzsche commands, break your external chains. Rebel, create, destroy false idols. Jung counsels, heal your internal wounds. Accept, understand, integrate. Nietzsche's path is revolution. Jung's evolution. Both lead to the same summit, freedom. Because you cannot truly craft your own values until you know who you really are. And you cannot discover yourself without facing the parts you've hidden away. The Übermensch and the individuated self are both self-directed, authentic, free from external validation. They have walked different paths, but reached the same liberation. The final truth is stark. No one will save you. This is not despair. It is your greatest chance. Every religion, every ideology, every self-help guru promises salvation through following their rules. But Nietzsche and Jung see through this myth. Waiting for rescue keeps you powerless, dependent, imprisoned. Nietzsche demands you destroy illusions, tear down society's cage of morality, meaning, and purpose. Jung insists you integrate illusions, expose the lies you tell yourself about who you are, buried deep in your shadow. Both demand radical honesty, the courage to face reality without comforting delusions, social conditioning, or ego defenses. When Nietzsche declared, "God is dead," he was diagnosing a crisis. The old foundations for meaning no longer hold. What will you do with this truth? Most panic, desperately grasping for new gods or external meaning. Nietzsche says, stop searching outside. You are the source of your meaning. Jung says, stop fearing your darkness. Your shadow is your hidden power. Both are terrifying because they place the entire burden on you, yet liberating because they grant you true power. This is no philosophical abstraction. It is the battleground of your everyday choices. Small moments of honesty over comfort, courage over fear, authenticity over approval. Most lie trapped in between, torn between conformity and rebellion, dreams and compromise. But you can choose a side. Begin with Jung's self-examination. Notice who irritates you most. What traits do they reflect? Are you projecting your shadow? Journal your dreams, your fears, your secret desires. Observe without simultaneously. Take Nietzsche's fierce challenge. Question every belief. Whose voice are you living by? Take charge of your life. Create, assert, leave your mark. Neither path alone suffices. You must understand your inner world and break free through action. You must integrate your shadow and channel its energy to build your own meaning. This is the invisible war that rages inside you. Its victory is quiet, but profound. When you become more authentic, you inspire others to do the same. When you own your shadow, you stop projecting blame. When you claim responsibility, you stop controlling others. Change begins with individuals doing the brave, private work of becoming whole. So here we stand, not at the end, but the beginning of your journey. Will you close this page and return to the comfortable lie? Or will you start the revolution of the self? It begins with a single question. Who am I when no one is watching? Not who you pretend to be, not who others want you to be, but the real you, the whole you. That person is worth fighting for, worth freeing, worth becoming. Jung says, start where you are, see yourself honestly, embrace your shadows, become whole. Nietzsche says, start with fire, question everything, create your own values, become powerful. Start with both. You need Jung's depth and Nietzsche's fire, integration and transcendence, understanding and action. Your liberation isn't someday, it's now. It's not about perfection, it's about authenticity. It's not about having all the answers, it's about living the questions. The battle for your soul is real. The prize is your freedom. Are you ready to fight? Because Jung and Nietzsche wait in the depths of your mind. The abyss still stares back. The shadow still calls your name, and you must decide, what will you do? Beyond illusions, the dual paths to true freedom. When Nietzsche and Jung talk about freedom, they aren't just throwing around lofty ideas. They're describing a profound transformation that demands every fiber of your being. At first glance, their messages seem to pull in opposite directions. Nietzsche screams from the mountaintop, shatter your chains, reject the herd, destroy every false idol, and build your own empire of values. Jung whispers softly from the shadows, look inside, heal your wounds, embrace the darkness you've hidden. Only by becoming whole will you truly be free. But what if these aren't conflicting calls but two halves of the same journey? Nietzsche's path is fiery revolution, a battle to break the external cage, to overturn every expectation imposed on you. It's bold, fierce, sometimes ruthless. It's the thunderous roar that shakes foundations. Jung's path is quiet evolution, an inner journey into your depths, a patient conversation with the parts of yourself you've locked away. It's the gentle light that reveals what lurks beneath. You need both. Because freedom isn't just about casting off external shackles. It's also about reconciling the divided self within. Think about it. You can destroy every rule and rebel against every norm. But if you haven't faced your own shadows, you carry invisible chains inside. Chains forged by self-denial, shame, and fear. On the other hand, you might dive deep into self-awareness, uncovering every hidden pain and secret longing. But without the fierce will to act and create your own path, insight remains trapped inside you like a silent river running underground. These two paths, revolution and evolution, form the twin pillars of authentic liberation. Together, they challenge the false promises we've been sold our entire lives. Society tells you, follow the rules, fit in, obey, be good, wait for someone else to save you. Religion, politics, even self-help preach dependence on external salvation. Nietzsche and Jung see this for what it is, a trap designed to keep you small, predictable, and controllable. Nietzsche tears away the veil of illusions imposed by society, exposing the raw, uncomfortable truth. No one else will save you. Your freedom can only come through the strength to create your own values. Jung dismantles the self-deceptions you've told yourself, revealing the internal conflicts that fracture your soul and keep you fragmented. Both paths demand brutal honesty, a willingness to confront reality without the comforting lies of wishful thinking or social conditioning. When Nietzsche proclaimed God is dead, he wasn't celebrating liberation, he was diagnosing a crisis in meaning. The old sources of morality, purpose, and authority have crumbled. What will you build on this foundation of emptiness? Most panic, clutching desperately to new gods or ideologies. Nietzsche challenges you to stop looking outside and become the architect of your own existence. Jung challenges you to stop fearing your shadow, because that is where your power lies. Together, they call for a radical transformation, to become both creator and healer, warrior and sage. This transformation is not quick or easy. It demands that you look squarely at the forces pulling you apart, the external pressures to conform and the internal fears of rejection and inadequacy. It demands that you wrestle with your shadows, the anger, greed, weakness, and pain you've buried deep inside. It demands that you reject complacency and take responsibility for your own life, your choices, your happiness, your suffering. Yet this burden is also a gift, because with full responsibility comes full power. When you stop waiting for others to save you, you claim your freedom. When you face your shadow, you gain access to your deepest strength. When you create your own values, you become the author of your own destiny. And that is a revolution no external force can stop. This dual journey, breaking chains outside and healing wounds inside, is your path forward. Neither Nietzsche's fierce rebellion nor Jung's patient healing alone can free you. You must balance fire and water, destruction and creation, strength and compassion. This balance is delicate and often elusive. You will stumble, you will fall. But every step, every effort to integrate and assert yourself builds resilience and moves you closer to freedom. So, what does this look like in your daily life? It begins with awareness. Notice when you feel torn between what society expects and what your heart yearns for. Pay attention to your triggers, those moments of anger, jealousy, or fear that signal your shadow speaking. Ask yourself, which of my beliefs are truly mine? Which have been handed down without question? Challenge those inherited rules with courage and curiosity. At the same time, honor your inner pain. Journal your fears, dreams, and hidden desires. Allow yourself to sit with discomfort without turning away. In this space of honest reflection and fearless action, freedom grows. You stop living half-lives, caught between conformity and rebellion. You start living as a whole person, flawed, complex, powerful. This is the path Nietzsche and Jung offer. It's not a promise of easy answers or perfect solutions. It's a call to radical self-responsibility, to the courage to face the abyss and the shadows, to the fire to break chains and the wisdom to heal wounds. The stakes are nothing less than your soul. Your freedom awaits. Will you step forward the invisible war within, embracing the shadow to find wholeness? Imagine standing in a silent battlefield inside your mind, where two unseen armies clash relentlessly. Not enemies, but fractured parts of your own soul. This is the battleground Carl Jung revealed to us through his concept of the shadow. The shadow is everything you deny about yourself. Those emotions, impulses, and traits you label unacceptable or dark. It's the anger you suppress, the selfish desires you hide, the fears you refuse to confront, and the vulnerabilities you disown. You don't see it clearly because you've been taught to reject it. But here's the paradox. Your shadow is not your enemy. It's your buried power source. For years, society conditions us to be good, to smile, to obey, to suppress anything that disrupts the calm surface. Yet beneath that polished exterior, energy builds up, trapped and restless. Like a dormant volcano, it's waiting to erupt. Sometimes in subtle ways, like self-sabotage or bitterness. Sometimes in explosive outbursts. Jung's insight was revolutionary. He taught that true freedom and wholeness come not from denying the shadow, but from integrating it. From bringing light to what's been hidden and making peace with all parts of yourself. Let me tell you a story. There was a man who embodied kindness. He never raised his voice, never said no, always put others first. On the surface, he was the ideal spouse, employee, and friend. But inside, he was starving for authenticity. His emotions felt muted, his spirit drained. When he came to Jung, confused about his deep unhappiness, Jung said gently, "You're trying to be good, but what you need is to be whole." This man had disconnected from half of his emotional spectrum, the shadow side, and that disconnection was costing him his vitality. Shadow work isn't about becoming bad or evil. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself you've hidden, denied, or projected onto others. When you refuse to acknowledge your shadow, it doesn't vanish. It operates in the background, influencing your choices and relationships in ways you don't realize. Have you ever felt inexplicably irritated by someone? Chances are they're mirroring a shadow trait you haven't owned. This is projection, your psyche's way of externalizing internal conflicts. Jung discovered that much of our mental suffering comes from this split, the battle between the conscious self and the hidden shadow. It's like a civil war inside you, draining your energy and peace. The solution isn't to wage war on your shadow, but to embrace and integrate it, becoming a complete, authentic person. This process Jung called individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming your true self. not perfect, but whole. When you integrate your shadow, you stop fearing judgment because you faced your own flaws. You no longer manipulate others through guilt or shame because you accept your imperfections. You stop living to meet others' ideals and begin living as your genuine self. This transformation is hard. It requires brutal self-honesty and courage. You have to face uncomfortable emotions and memories you'd rather forget. But the reward is profound freedom, the freedom to be fully yourself without hiding or apology. Now here's where it becomes fascinating. Nietzsche and Jung are both guiding you to freedom, but from opposite angles. Nietzsche's message is a call to external rebellion. Break the chains society puts on you. Jung's message is internal healing. Integrate the broken parts within you. Both are necessary. You can't truly break free from societal constraints if your inner self remains fragmented. And you can't become whole inside without the strength to redefine your life externally. Together, they form a powerful synergy. The warrior and the healer, the rebel and the sage. This synergy empowers you to face your darkest fears and your deepest dreams simultaneously. It invites you to create a life grounded in authentic values, born from true self-knowledge. So, what practical steps can you take? Start by observing your reactions. Who triggers you the most? What qualities in others drive you crazy? Those are clues to your shadow. Keep a journal of your feelings, dreams, and inner dialogues. Write without judgment. Allow yourself to explore your discomfort and contradictions. Then, challenge your inherited beliefs. Ask yourself, which rules do I truly own? Which ones am I following out of fear or habit? Begin to question everything, from societal expectations to personal habits. Simultaneously, cultivate compassion for your imperfections. Remember, integrating your shadow is not about self-criticism, but self-acceptance. Over time, this work rewires your mind, healing old wounds and freeing up energy trapped in denial and fear. You become more resilient, authentic, and capable of making choices aligned with your true self. But beware, this journey is not for the faint-hearted. It will bring you face to face with uncomfortable truths. You may lose relationships or comfort zones as you grow, but the alternative is a life half-lived, dominated by fear and fragmentation. In the end, the battle for your soul is internal. No external revolution will bring peace until you reconcile the war within. The true fight for freedom starts in the quiet, unseen places of your mind and heart. This is the invisible war Jung invites you to engage in. The war to become whole. And it's a battle worth fighting, because on the other side of shadow integration lies liberation, creativity, and genuine joy. The revolution of the self. Choosing freedom. Every day now, after journeying deep into Nietzsche's relentless call for self-mastery and Jung's compassionate invitation to self-integration, you stand at the most critical crossroads of your life. The moment where theory meets practice, where philosophy confronts reality. Liberation is not a distant summit you climb once and stand upon forever. It is a daily, moment-by-moment practice, a continuous act of courage, honesty, and choice. Every single day, you wake up and face countless decisions, some glaringly obvious, others subtle and easy to overlook. Will you speak your truth or settle for silence? Will you honor your deepest values or conform to expectations? Will you embrace your full self, including your shadows, or deny them for comfort's sake? Each of these small choices forms the threads of your personal revolution. They are the quiet rebellions that pile up until they become a tidal wave of transformation. This revolution does not look like what movies or social media tell you it should. It's not about dramatic speeches or mass rallies. It's about the invisible battles inside you. The moments when you decide to be honest instead of convenient, brave instead of fearful, authentic instead of performing. Around you, society screams for compliance. It shouts for you to stay in line, to fit the mold, to keep your head down. Herds are easier to manage. They keep the system stable and profitable. But inside, a voice whispers, the voice of your authentic self, yearning for freedom, creativity, and truth. Carl Jung taught us that running from this voice only prolongs suffering. You can flee your environment, change your surroundings, switch relationships, or even reinvent your external identity. But you cannot outrun the parts of yourself left unacknowledged. Your fears, your shadows, your unresolved pain will follow you relentlessly, like shadows at noon. Friedrich Nietzsche understood too well the tragedy of living inauthentically. Many live lives dictated by fear and falsehood, wearing masks they did not choose, and following values that are not truly theirs. Yet the facade inevitably cracks. The false self falters. Your real self demands to be seen. So ask yourself, will you wait for life to force this awakening through crisis, heartbreak, or despair? Or will you face your true self voluntarily, now? Choosing freedom means embracing full responsibility. This is the terrifying part. Once free, you can no longer blame others for your suffering, your failures, or your unfulfilled desires. There is no external savior, no system to rescue you. The power and burden rest entirely in your hands. But this burden is also a gateway, because in taking full responsibility, you reclaim your power. You become the author of your life's narrative. You write your story with your own hand, carving meaning out of chaos. You stop living according to inherited scripts and start living in alignment with your deepest truth. This revolution, quiet, personal, and profound, radiates outward. When you dare to live authentically, you inspire others to do the same. When you integrate your shadow, you cease projecting your inner turmoil onto others, allowing compassion and clarity to grow. When you own your life fully, you release your need to manipulate or control those around you. This is how the world transforms, not through grandiose upheavals, but through countless individuals who dare to become whole. The question remains, what will you choose? You can retreat to safety and familiarity, resuming the life scripted for you by others. Or you can embark on the only revolution that matters, the revolution of the self. It begins with one profound question. Who are you when all the masks fall away? Not the role you play for acceptance, not the ideal others expect, but the raw, imperfect, courageous being beneath. That person, complex, flawed, radiant, is worthy of every effort, every struggle, every step toward freedom. Jung would remind you, start from where you stand. Face your life with ruthless honesty. Identify your patterns. Welcome your shadow. Integrate contradictions. Strive not for perfection, but for wholeness. Nietzsche would roar, ignite your inner fire. Challenge every assumption. Discard what confines you. Forge your own values. Seize your power. But here lies the essential truth. You need both. You need Jung's patient, inward journey, and Nietzsche's bold, outward rebellion. You need understanding and action, depth and daring. Because liberation is not a project to complete someday, it is a practice alive in every choice you make now. It's not about reaching an endpoint of perfection. It's about embracing an ongoing process of becoming. It's not about having all the answers. It's about living courageously within the questions. The invisible war for your soul is real. The stakes are unimaginably high. The prize is genuine freedom. Are you ready to claim it? Nietzsche and Jung still linger in the quiet corners of your mind, watching and waiting. The abyss still gazes into you. The shadow still whispers your name. And now, it's your turn to answer.